Ferrari just made a decision that could completely derail Lewis Hamilton's final chapter in Formula One. Why is the most historic team in F1 refusing to give their 7-time world champion the updates he needs to compete? Today, we break down the internal announcement from Maranello, what happened behind the scenes in Brazil, and why this isn't just a team order, it's a warning shot. Because if Ferrari's latest move is what it looks like, then Lewis Hamilton may have just become a political passenger in his own car. Lewis Hamilton walked into Ferrari with one mission: to build, to win, and to close his career on his own terms. He didn't come to retire quietly. He came to fight. But what happened this week inside Maranello changes everything. A private internal announcement, quietly made to team engineers after Brazil, now threatens to redefine his entire first season in red, not on track, but in the shadows of politics and silence. Ferrari has decided to halt development on Hamilton's car. Not publicly. Not with a statement. But through quiet instructions issued internally. All aero updates, floor upgrades, and rear suspension changes from now to Abu Dhabi will be tested only on Leclerc's side. Hamilton's SF25 will stay in its current spec, a configuration he's struggled with since Bahrain. The reasoning? Continuity into 2026. The translation? Hamilton is now outside the core project. The announcement came just days after the Brazil Grand Prix, where Hamilton qualified a painful 13th and was forced to retire with floor damage and overheating issues. The car felt off from the very first lap. Rear tires wouldn't heat. Corner exits were unpredictable. And by lap 37, his engineer gave the call, "Box, we're done." But after the race, Hamilton didn't point fingers. He defended the team. And while fans asked why the updates never reached his car, Ferrari remained silent. That silence now has a reason. The team is quietly preparing for a 2026 technical reset, and in that vision, Hamilton is no longer the foundation. They won't say it outright. But the decision is written in every CAD file, every update log, every piece of carbon that goes to only one side of the garage. Leclerc is the future. Hamilton, the stopgap. And if the man who carried Mercedes for 8 years is being used as a glorified data collector, that's not strategy. That's disrespect. But here's the twist. Hamilton has been here before. In 2016, when Nico Rosberg was being favored. In 2021, when the FIA changed the rules mid-race. Every time, he responded the same way, with calm, control, and a refusal to break. And right now, inside the most political garage in motorsport, he's doing it again, showing the world that true champions don't need press releases to prove their worth. Because what Ferrari may have just triggered is Hamilton's final transformation. From contender to martyr. From team player to silent force. And if they think he's going to coast through the rest of the season, they're not just underestimating his talent. They're underestimating his memory. We now go from emotion to cold, unforgiving data. Because while Ferrari's announcement stunned the fanbase, the signs were already there in Sao Paulo. Hamilton's performance in Brazil wasn't just off, it was unrecognizable. He qualified 13th, his worst Saturday showing at Interlagos in over a decade. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc put the other Ferrari on the second row of the grid, locking in third place. Same team. Same car model. And yet, a performance gap of over 6/10. In a sprint weekend with limited setup time, that's not a driver issue. That's systemic imbalance. Telemetry from Friday's qualifying revealed that Hamilton's rear tires were running 5 degrees Celsius colder than Leclerc's at the start of the push lap. That single factor completely destabilizes the car's balance in Sector 2, the heart of Interlagos, where grip, rotation, and rear confidence make or break the lap. Without the correct tire temperature, Hamilton couldn't get the rear planted through turn 8 or maintain traction into turn 10. The result? A car that snapped, skidded, and never allowed him to attack. But the pain didn't stop on Saturday. On Sunday, Hamilton's race unraveled from the very first lap. After slight contact with Carlos Sainz and a brush with Colapinto, the car's underfloor suffered critical damage. Engineers later estimated a loss of 35 points of aerodynamic load, mostly from a fractured diffuser and disrupted airflow across the rear axle. This kind of damage, combined with an already unstable setup, turned Hamilton's Ferrari into a car that no longer responded predictably under braking or corner exit. Still, Hamilton pushed on. He didn't complain. He adjusted the brake balance forward. He shifted corner entries to avoid spikes of oversteer. He fought to keep the car in the window, not for victory, but for pride. Lap after lap, he absorbed the instability and tried to salvage something from a machine that was never in shape to compete. But by lap 37, the numbers were clear. Engine temperatures were rising. Floor performance had collapsed. The call came in, retire the car. Box. No failure. Just a quiet withdrawal from a race he never truly started. After the race, Ferrari offered no in-depth technical explanation. No breakdown of tire prep strategy. No admission of differing floor specs or outlap planning. Just a few vague words about traffic and balance. But fans noticed. Commentators noticed. And most importantly, Hamilton noticed. Because while Leclerc was given the team's latest floor upgrade featuring revised airflow tunnels and lighter rear strakes, Hamilton's SF25 carried the same configuration he'd been fighting with since Mexico. What happened in Brazil wasn't the result of one bad strategy. It was the product of a quiet but deliberate shift in Ferrari's internal engineering structure, one that has left Lewis Hamilton isolated inside his own team. According to sources within the technical department, the turning point came after the United States Grand Prix. That's when the Scuderia made a decision to divert all future development to a single baseline, Leclerc's feedback model. Ferrari engineers were told that all floor updates, rear suspension changes, and damper geometry revisions for the final stretch of the season would be implemented only on Car 16. Hamilton's SF25 would be used to gather comparative data using the previous package. That phrase, comparative data, sounds harmless. But in Formula One, it's a signal that a driver has been taken out of the performance loop. It means their car is no longer evolving. It means every lap is a test, not a challenge. The most visible difference appeared in São Paulo. Leclerc ran the updated floor, which included a new rear channel to stabilize airflow through fast corners, exactly the type of instability Hamilton had been reporting since Australia. But those components weren't available for Car 44. And not because of logistics. Because of direction. The team had already committed to one development path, and Hamilton was no longer the reference point. This explains why Hamilton's issues have remained constant for 5 consecutive race weekends. Rear-end unpredictability. Unstable traction zones. Lack of rotation in mid-speed corners. These are not symptoms of a driver falling behind. They're the consequences of running an outdated mechanical platform against modern aero loads. And when your teammate is being tuned into the future, while you're kept in the past, it shows. What's more troubling is that Hamilton has not been told when, or even if, he will receive the same upgrade package before the end of the season. Team insiders say it's unlikely unless something changes in the constructors' standings. In other words, Ferrari is now treating Hamilton as a strategic asset, not a performance driver. Someone to support Leclerc's charge but not challenge it. And this is where the scandal deepens. Because Lewis Hamilton didn't come to Ferrari to be a number 2. He didn't sign to be a development tool. He came to compete. To lead. To build a legacy in red. And now, he finds himself stuck in a garage where his voice is no longer guiding the car, it's being politely ignored. After the Brazil Grand Prix, Ferrari held no press briefing to clarify Hamilton's early retirement. No mention of floor spec. No acknowledgement of the temperature imbalance. No apology for the unequal upgrade path. Inside Maranello, the silence was strategic because the team had already moved on. Behind closed doors, leadership had approved a 2026 development plan centered on Leclerc's driving style, car feel, and feedback loop. And Hamilton? Reduced to a secondary role before his first season even ends. It wasn't just about Brazil. It was about direction. From Mexico to São Paulo, Leclerc's side of the garage received 3 separate component upgrades: rear dampers, a lightweight beam wing, and a new floor iteration. Hamilton received none. The justification? Stability in data collection. The truth? Ferrari had begun building the future and Hamilton wasn't designed into it. Then came the final blow. Ferrari chairman John Elkann, speaking at a corporate panel in Milan, was asked about team consistency. His response was surgical. "We are building around talent that grows with the car. Drivers who bring harmony to the project." He never mentioned Hamilton. Not once. The message was unmistakable. Ferrari's long-term vision no longer includes its newest champion. Not as a centerpiece. Not as a core builder. At most, a bridge. At worst, a bystander. Hamilton, for his part, remained composed. No accusations. No outbursts. In interviews, he praised the team's effort and deflected questions about upgrades. But behind the calm was something sharper, that look we've seen before. 2016, 2021. When politics tried to write him off. When silence spoke louder than words. And each time, he answered not with arguments, but with performance. Now, the question isn't whether Hamilton can still fight. It's whether Ferrari will let him. And the most dangerous version of Lewis Hamilton isn't the one with the fastest car. It's the one they try to underestimate, because that's the one who rewrites history.